Well, it's official now. Trump just pulled the pin on a political hand grenade. And it landed smack in the middle of every sanctuary city in America. And how are the Democrats responding? How would you expect, right? With threats, tantrums, and more of their dangerous delusions. Buckle up, patriots, because the truth's about to hit harder than Pritzker's next buffet run. And for those of you in Illinois, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's the story I'll bring you here in just 1 minute. What a series of stories today. President Trump just signed a powerful series of executive orders hammering sanctuary cities, putting real firepower back in the hands of local law enforcement. That'll be the headline story. I guess the days of coddling criminals, illegals, and neutering our police forces are over, but the Democrat machine, led by Illinois Governor J.D. Pritsker, isn't taking it lightly. In fact, they're threatening Republican leaders in a desperate, in my opinion, illegal, flailing response. So today's broadcast will expose the stunning contrast between a president putting America's first and a party obsessed with chaos and control. And there's no greater example of that than the man who's now on your screen. Do you know who he is? Because most people in America have absolutely no idea. Well, he wants you to know who he is. And this is all going to happen before I transition. If you're at Restricted Republic, you'll see the video kick up right behind this exclusive content about what's happening in the world, the globalist lie machine, and how they use hoaxes to terraform our very society. Sounds complex, it's not. It all kind of frames in everything that's happening behind the scenes. And there's a word from Hannibal Lecter that actually puts it all into perfect definition. But let's cover the man on your screen now for a moment, shall we? Maybe I'll mispronounce his name on purpose because he doesn't like when people do that. Congressman Shri Thane introduces articles of impeachment against President Donald J. Trump for high crimes and misdemeanors. Did you hear this headline story? The same congressman, unknown congressman, who raises alarm bells within his own party. This article coming out of CBS News, sorry about that. Michigan's largest, this is an older article, but I just want to frame in who this guy is. Largest local Democratic club based in suburban Detroit recently took the extraordinary step of issuing an anti-endorsement of the man who I just showed you. We really strongly believe that he would not only be a horrible governor if he ever got there, but that he would also be a real disaster for the Michigan Democratic Party. And that was back then, and it now comes forward. There's a lot of questions about his business dealings back then, but now, launching forward into the Justice Democrats, you know, that group that AOC belongs to, they're launching its first primary challenge in 2026. And who's it against? Thane. Of course it is. Democratic voters are fed up with Democratic Party overrun by do-nothing career politicians who are totally unequipped to lead in this moment. Boy, that's just a stunning endorsement for him, huh? Well, no, it's an anti-endorsement. And so he had a few things to say. Now, I'm going to try to clip this so you don't have to listen to the 3 minutes and 29 seconds. But I think it's important you hear the 7 things, the 7 articles of impeachment that he has now introduced against President Trump. Please, try not to laugh.
This is Congressman Shri Thane. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw.
Come on, the only damage done is that hairstyle. I mean, let's be honest here, folks. I can't even take the guy seriously. Maybe just go to the stylist, or as some of the comments below say, your wig is effing awful. But I digress. I know that wasn't very professional. How do you avoid it? Come on, just look at the screen.
Time we impeach Donald J. Trump. the court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment.
I know you probably just got your pen. You want to write these down. I mean, this cannot be a publicity stunt simply to get some attention over a man that nobody even knows existed prior to this, right? Now, of course not. No, this is serious, folks. You okay?
Article 1. Obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders. Article 2. Taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress. Article 3. Abuse of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging tariffs.
This is so important to him and so necessary, and he believes it so much in his heart that he has to wait for the teleprompter or the cue cards to advance because he couldn't even memorize his own 7 articles of impeachment, as sad and disturbing as this is. But let's let him finish.
And threatened military invasions of our allies. Article 4. Violation of First Amendment rights. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Article 5. Creation of an unlawful office establishing the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and giving Elon Musk unconstitutional power over our government and personal data. Article 6. Bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal settlements for personal and political gain. Article 7.
Because this has nothing to do with personal and political gain, what you're doing right here. You know you're not supposed to use the articles of impeachment simply to bolster your campaign, or there has to be something illegal about that, right? At least unethical.
Tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership, it's tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law.
I just can't do it anymore. I literally can't listen to it anymore. I tried. I had to listen to that 3 times. So if you think your suffering's bad, just imagine having to try to actually take this seriously as a Democrat, because you can't. There's no conviction. He has no belief in what he's saying. He's going for publicity because he recognizes that even his own party can't stand him. His own hairstylist can't stand him. But in other big Democrat news, sorry, Pritsker drives me insane. I am so sorry for you guys in Illinois. I don't know how anybody deals with this bad. I mean, more money than anyone could imagine coming off the highest fortune, but yet he is going to be the one who's going to lead the nation, right? Well, I don't think he's going to have really a big chance to do that. I know I did it again. I'm so sorry. But nonetheless, here's what he says to an audience. Now in normal world, this would be considered a threat. And if any Republican did it, the FBI, CIA, everybody would be there to arrest him. But of course, in this world, it's okay for the Democrats.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
There you got it. Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. Interesting. Interesting, Mr. Pritsker. Those are words you're going to choose to use. Now, some contesting that he could be brought up on federal charges for that. Incitement of a riot, seditious conspiracy, conspiracy against right, threatening the president, election-related threats. But, yeah, of course, what will happen? It will fall on deaf ears, right? Maybe he's upset about Trump going after Act Blue. In this post, you remember I covered for you yesterday, hopefully Act Blue to Democrats, a legal scam used to raise money, including for not allowing foreign contributions being looked at into authorities. And there, the next day, out comes Pritsker saying, I'm no longer against protests. Man, the rhetoric coming out of this side. The rhetoric that, again, they blame Republicans for and Trump for, but they do the same thing. Chucky, take it away.
They're trying to intimidate judges. This is not the first time or the second. They've said they want to impeach judges. They said they're going to go after judges who don't agree with them.
And they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
I don't. Can't be forgotten. Because Western Ledensman, thank you again for putting those things out. Those are incredible. Just a reminder to the American people of exactly who they're contending with. And lucky for us, Charlie Kirk puts out, Chucky Schumer, he's not retiring. I'm staying put because I've been able to unite my caucus in a very strong fight against Trump. You've been able to unite your caucus? Your infighting is legendary. Your accomplishments are nothing. But yet, of course, we have to fight against that too, right? Mainstream media. Daily basis, I point out the manipulation. If you believe in polls, I got a bridge I want to sell you somewhere. I'm going to ask you here. If you support law and order, which most people do, over the leftist lunacy we continue to cover, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you put it in the comments below. I love when you share the videos, of course, just to bring more open-mindedness, to pull people out of the liberal matrix that they're living in. Because Trump is working his ass off right now. And what's he getting in return? Trump has lowest 100-day approval rating in 80 years. Or Trump's approval rating at 100 days lower than any president in the last 7 decades. ABC, CNN, but not to be left alone, of course. Another poll. Fox News coming out. Horrible job performance in every category. Why are they doing that? Do you believe that? Just go ahead in the comments, put I believe it or I don't believe it. Pretty simple. Because I don't believe it. But I never believe in polls. And one person in particular, after Trump loses his mind on this, there were 4 national polls released today. All of them show the same thing. Trump's approval is crashing. And it's directly tied to how America feels he's handling the economy, in particular tariffs. Okay. I took one of those polls. I did overall good, even though I'm not completely happy. And man, I don't know, maybe there's some truth to this. Trump lashing out. Greatest pollster, John McLaughlin, one of the most highly respected in the industry, has just stated that the failing New York Times poll, ABC Washington Post poll about a person named Donald J. Trump, a.k.a. me, are fake polls from fake news organizations. And why is he lashing out? Because there's actually a lot of prominent pollsters who blast their colleagues about how they're skewing this data, which they have the ability to do by geographic region they pick. Where are you going to call and look for Republicans? You're going to call and look for Republicans in a blue state? Maybe. Over a red state. Could skew those opinions a little bit. Or are they, like many in Congress, Republicans in name only? But people are hearing the media narrative, and they're seeing the Friday night headlines, and it's meant to cause a panic. Goes into my exclusive video later on. Everything is meant to cause a panic. It's meant to make you feel uneasy, uncomfortable. Because when you're under stress, your reaction to your environment is completely different. But that's a story for later. And so they're reacting to what some of the polls, But when you get a little bit more granular and you ask people whether or not they think the strategy could pay off, and if it does, was it worth it, they were getting very different answers. Ooh, so it's also in how they phrased the question to get the answer they're looking for. So they declare on their poll something that appears to be black and white, but it's not. That's shocking that the media would do that, huh? Paris said the pollsters were wrong during the 2024 election and are wrong right now, and they're off by the exact same percentage, 5 to 7 points off, and that's a big swing in polls. So if the percentages are the same and the information skewed and the sampling is skewed, well, then you can get whatever headlines you want to put up because nobody wants his 100 days in office to look like it's accomplishing anything. But then came yesterday. He grabs the grenade and he pulls the pin and throws it right into the center of the room. It ends with the photos you see here. But it begins somewhere completely different. It begins with these photos posted on the White House lawn. I don't know if you saw this. I'll try to play it without sound for a moment. There you go. Look at all the work that he's doing. How many arrested him? People took exception with this. How dare you show these people? MSNBC coming out having a word about this.
Something that just occurred. The White House has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants who have been arrested for violent crimes.
We don't know if they've had due process. We don't know if, in fact, these individuals do have a rap sheet. So I would encourage those individuals that have that as a backshot to blur those people out. The job of journalism is to...
That's right. Just like everything else Trump is doing, let's just blur it out. They just say quiet part aloud all the time. That's what they are doing. They are blurring and skewing reality. Because if they weren't, then this would take center headlines everywhere. There's a whisper of it. Trump signs order requiring nationwide lists of sanctuary cities and states. And why do you think he's doing that? Well, there's a damn good reason why he's doing it. And we're going to go into that in great detail. So before we get into the inner workings of this and the key points, and it's critical, did a video today because I read a lot of comments. People are getting stressed. It's normal. Dealing with politics could be stressful. But you know there's actually a mechanism behind that that's being done to you intentionally through the air of misinformation, skewing data, keeping things non-black and white. Because if you're in a continual state of panic and stress, your reaction to your environment's different. And if they do it long enough, eventually they can get you to comply. When did they do that? It's recently, wasn't it? I'm going to give you a very simplistic breakdown led by Hannibal Lecter later. Because there's something he said in Silence of the Lambs that goes to tell you exactly what's happening. And I'll define it even further with the help of the Brownstone Institute, who put out one of the most amazing articles I have read lately. And I'm going to share it with you. If you haven't gone, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel first, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure your bell is checked to all, or else you won't be alerted to my videos. Those of you who joined as members here, thank you. Those of you who provided super thanks, thank you so very much. Those of you who have taken that extra step and gone to Restricted Republic. And remember, I know not everybody has the means, and that's fine. Your comments, your shares, your likes, they're appreciated, trust me. But if you do have the means and you want a whole different set of news, things that are only discussed on restrictedrepublic.com for very good reason, I want you there today, restrictedrepublic.com. You can cancel your membership via your own dashboard, as long as it's before the subscription renews anytime you want. Because I know our information there, because Lisa Haven and I work on it day and night to provide it to you. We'll keep you on that platform as your number one source for black and white news. And that's what we work to achieve every single day. But now, let's get back to this video, because we got some key points of the executive order. Trump signed an order escalating his battle against Democrat-led states and cities that don't fully cooperate with immigration authorities. Okay, great. The order directs the Attorney General and Homeland Security to identify sanctuary jurisdictions within a month. Cities and states on the list could face a cutoff in federal funding and possibly criminal and civil suits if they don't change laws or practices. Well, why would he be doing that? Because he's been met with such resistance in the court. Maybe there's a way around this a little bit. Let's see what they have to say on it.
On sanctuary cities. The first EO will strengthen and unleash America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. The second EO is centered around protecting American communities from criminal aliens, and it will direct the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security to publish a list of state and local jurisdictions that obstruct the enforcement of federal immigration laws. After these are signed, the president will have signed more than 140 executive orders already, rapidly approaching the total number signed by the Biden administration over the course of 4 years in office.
So you're going to identify the sanctuary cities, and then you're going to be able, through that identification, to forward on reports to the White House of who's resisting ICE, working against ICE, not only maybe in an effort to pull federal funding, because there are already fiscal black holes. There's no question of that. I think San Francisco wasted a $9.7 million, if I remember correctly, on these policies. But then on top of that, you do something different because you're already going after them. Trump's DOJ yesterday sued City of Rochester over sanctuary city policies and some police policies related to ICE activities. Because if you don't have the law enforcement cooperation, then a lot of these things go, well, not so well. But when you have law enforcement support to help you report on resistant efforts going against your executive orders, well, now you'd have something entirely more effective. So Trump put out 2 presidential actions yesterday. Protecting American communities from criminal aliens. I just gave you the talking points of this. Yet some state and local officials nevertheless continue to use their authority to violate, obstruct, and defy the enforcement of federal immigration laws. This is a lawless insurrection against the supremacy of federal law and the federal government's obligation to defend the territorial sovereignty of the United States. Beyond the intolerable national security risks, such as nullification efforts often violate federal criminal laws, including those prohibiting obstruction, unlawfully harboring or hiring illegal aliens, conspiracy against the United States, and conspiracy to impede federal law enforcement. Assisting aliens as violating federal immigration law could also violate the racketeering influence and corruption organization. He just put RICO into the mix. That is one of the most powerful political hand grenades he could throw. Some measures to assist illegal aliens also necessarily violate federal laws prohibiting discrimination against Americans in favor of illegal aliens and protecting American civil rights. But the bombshell in there is RICO Act. And by identifying the sanctuary cities, making it federal record, how could I assure I get all the intelligence I need? Well, how about we turn around immediately and strengthen and unleash America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent civilians? You can support law enforcement. You could help fund law enforcement. Now, there's upside and downside to that. But what he's doing there is he is putting legal defense of law enforcement officers. The Attorney General shall take all appropriate action to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and indemnification to law enforcement officers who unjustly incur expenses and liabilities for actions taken during the performance of official duties, aka supporting immigration efforts, because he knows the states will sue him. So Trump says, when they do, we got you. And the guys who've been fighting against this on the front lines, well, they were at the White House yesterday. And Trump looked them eye to eye. And my friends, this portion of the headline simply wasn't covered. It was too dangerous for the mainstream media to cover because it went against their agenda. But everything goes against their agenda now, doesn't it? 6 days after celebrating 100% renewable power, Spain blames rare atmospheric phenomenon for nation's largest blackout. Did you read that headline? I hope you did. And I got interrupted. Folks, when you live in this house, there's 2 people who can override everything. One is my wife, Lisa Haven. The second is this little guy. Because when it's time for his breakfast in the morning, I know. That overrides everything. But that's reality, isn't it? Come on, go that way. So I'm going to transition now over to Restrict the Republic. I hope you join me there, because there's an important video was covered by the Brownstone Institute, the existential threat of the existential threat. Because everything's an existential threat, isn't it? But is it really? Oh, I'm going to break it down for you in very black and white detail. Hope you join me there. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.